to another episode of Double M Racing. This will be video number 4 in the rebuild series. And hopefully today we're going to wrap up quite a few of the loose ends. So stick around and enjoy the episode. First off, I wanted to show you guys something I picked up at Lowe's. It was like 23 bucks. With all these extra parts that I'm acquiring, stuff that I'm going to keep, that was good, you know, like some of the ends in your swedge tubes and extra heims, stuff like that. I got a bin to organize all this stuff, all these extra bolts I've got. I bought a new steering U-joint because I thought mine was bad. We were able to fix the one I had, so I've got an extra one of those. But just something to keep all this organized, an extra shock adjuster. Just starting to acquire some extra parts there, so I'm going to keep everything organized in bins. I've got, you know, my race trailer toolbox has got bolts and stuff all laying loose in it, so I'm going to put all that stuff in here too, so we can try to keep everything a little more organized. But I believe today what we're going to start on, I've still got to get the clutch. I got to get that mounted or bolted and secured. I did get the brake line in, the new one for the Wildwood setup, so I slapped that on there. I've got to get these brake lines secured, zip tied on there, the hard ones, and there's a mountain there. Yeah, focusing on other stuff here. There's little mounts that mount your brake lines that run across your body down through there. I got to get those put back on. I want to get I've got all this overspray in some areas on my roll cage that I want to get fixed up. I've got some touch-up paint for that, so I want to get that done. Get the Nerf bar over here installed. We've got to get the running boards installed. Just wrapping up all the loose ends. We may even get the body installed in this episode. Received word yesterday that the rear end is finished. Mike and Kelly is finished with that. And so we'll pick that up this week and get everything buttoned back up. And heck, if we have a good enough week, we may get to go out next weekend and race. So we'll, that might be pushing it, but we'll sure give it a go, because it's going to be, just because of prior obligations and my work schedule at the fire department, it's going to be at least, if we don't race next weekend, 2 weeks after that before we'll get back out. So it'll be the second week in June. So we'll give it a go, see if we can get there. Okay, we're going to start off getting this the scoop and oil cooler and front grille remounted. The way I do mine is with these nut zerks. I drill holes down in the frame, put that in there. You use the tool to crimp them in. It just sucks this part of the nut up, and then you just run a bolt down through it. So that's how I mount mine. You can just run bolts down through there if you want to, but I think this looks a little cleaner. Now when you're doing this, you've got to take a couple things into account, and I've already kind of played around with it to get markings, but you don't want to get, you know, it all comes into play with your bumper and stuff too. You don't want to get, your bumper has to be, per the rules, there has to be at least 1 inch from the back of the frame rail to the tab. So you have to have at least that much, you know, sticking out. You can't have your bumper just sucked all the way into your frame, because these tabs are designed to give way and stuff in front collisions. So if it's attached to your frame, you know that's setting you up there to potentially damage your car, bend your frame rails, or push other people around. So I marked mine at 1 inch there. So you set that in there. And what I'm going to do first is drill my side holes for the bumper. Drill your holes through there, and then your bolts run through to the end of your tabs. So I'm going to get those drilled first, so I know where that's at, and then that's going to kind of play into where I drill my holes for this, because I want to make sure I've got access to the nuts, because they go on from the inside of your frame rails. They screw on that way. I want to make sure I've got access to those bolt heads, because you're going to be replacing bumpers a lot more often than you're going to be taking this out. This is the first time I've ever taken this out. But bumpers I've went through, this is number 3 on the front, and I haven't been racing very long, so you bend them up pretty often. Sometimes you can just take them off, straighten them back out, and put them back on. You don't have to buy a new one every time. Mine was trashed from that wreck. I do have, Sites is going to take it, and he's going to mess around with it, straighten it out, and maybe use on his daughter's car. But for me, it's, it wasn't worth my time. I've got too much other stuff to worry about. So we're going to get the bumper mounted first, and then we'll figure out where all the holes get done for here. So I'll put you on time lapse while all that's going on. Well, my drill battery died, so I've got to wait a little bit. I bought, and I cannot find the charger for it. I bought one of these Hart drills from Walmart, like 70 bucks, 60 bucks, something like that. I've lost the charger that charges the battery. It's not lost, it's probably around here somewhere. I just can't find the dang thing. But don't buy these are junk. I have not had good luck with this. Every time it gets bound up, like it just kills the battery altogether. You gotta take the battery back out, then put it back in to get it started again. Not a big fan. I'm more of a DeWalt guy. But I've got all kinds of DeWalt drills in my tool trailer, but it's on my job site down in Aurora. So what I'm gonna work on next, while I'm waiting on that to charge, is the seat mount. So on this seat mount, this one here, it goes into those holes there, and then you bolt this in, and your seat bolts into this. So you can bolt this on your seat and put this down in here and hook it up. Well, it's a pain in the rear to get this one over here, because you have hardly zero room back in here to get a nut. You can't get underneath here. Let me zoom out. You can't get your fingers underneath here to hold a nut back here. You can't get a bolt slid in through there. You do have access right there through your tunnel to get something tightened, but you can't get anything on there. So I'm going to weld a nut on there to where I can just go from the back side through that tab into here and tighten that up. So that is what I think I'm going to do next, is while I'm waiting on my battery to charge up. Let's get that situated. All right, do not take welding classes from me. Holy cow, looks like a bunch of rat turds stacked up there. I am not a welder whatsoever. I bought this little thing at Metal Man Welder at Orsoland's Farm and Home here in town for like 120 bucks. before the season started so I could weld my bumper back on in the pits if I ever needed to. But my son is a welder. I should have got him over here to weld that up for me, but it'll hold. It'll hold. That's all I needed to do. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to get the bracket in here. Just like so. And I think actually I'm wanting to let's get the bracket in the car. This is where I messed up last time. I need to get this thing set perfect. So let's install this in the car, get the seat sitting where we like it. I'll make sure to grab my helmet and get it put on. And that way we can get this seat installed exactly where we want it this time. Taking our time, we're not rushing anything, and get it done right. So let's move over to the car real quick. All right, so we're trying to get this set up. Where everything feels comfortable. If you remember last year, or not last year, earlier this season, I've been doing so much work, it feels like it's been a year. My head couldn't go back all the way. I was kind of pushed forward like that. And so I want to be able to have my head back all the way to where I'm comfortable in the car. So it's kind of just feeling it around. Move the seat a little more. I also don't want to put myself so low in the car that I can't see very well at the top. I kind of like set up, so it's kind of a catch 22. Okay, I like that right there. I'll be able to get the pad back behind it, and that should be good. All right, so the next thing you want to check is your side to side. You don't want to be too close to either side. Kind of want it, I actually kind of prefer to be a little more over to this side. Trying to get the steering shaft directly in center with my, which I guess I can't really go over that much that way anymore. So that's going to be where she sits, okay? So now we got to take our pad out. We've got our bar coming through there. Let's see if I want to make sure that my seat belt still gets up through there, which it should. Yeah, that should be good there. And I can adjust that if I need to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is mark on here where the bar lines up on my seat. Okay, and then we unbolt this bar. Take your bolts out from both sides. We take the whole seat out, line the bar back up where it goes, or where we marked it, and then we can go from the back side and drill our holes to mount the seat back here. On the top side, you can see this seat has been mounted quite a bit. on the top side, your bolts go through there. And in the back, when you come around, they go into these tabs right there, which I've got. I don't have my belts running through the seat right now, but they go through those tabs there. I did buy the longer bolts. That way I can get a lot more bolts sticking out, have the proper washers on there, and get everything mounted properly this time. So we'll get this taken out and get that bar mounted on the bottom. Well, I don't know where my phone battery died out there, but the seat is mounted back in. She is solid as a rock this time. I'm not taking any chances with her again. After it almost coming loose during the rollover, I've got really long bolts going through the back. I've got it properly mounted on the bottom, so I am not worried about it. I got in there. Check the fitment again. I like how it's fitting. I like how I'm sitting in there. The steering wheel is, we scooted it closer to me, about an inch closer than it was prior, because I always hit when your door's shut, I was always hitting my elbow on the bar there and just bruising the P1 out of it. So now I've got it to where my elbow's contained. My arms are close enough to me, my elbow's contained inside the seat, and I can hang my right one out through here if I need to. So that is it on the seat. We will move on. I found the drill. I found the charger for the Hort drill. So I'm back in business on drill. Back in business on the drill, and we'll head up front and continue on with that. All right, so when we left off here, I was drilling through this part of the bumper, so we'll get this finished up. This is the bumper mount holes here. I always like to, in Missouri we call it wallering. I always like to waller out the holes a little bit, so everything gets in there nice and smooth. Okay. Now we'll grab our front bumper. Where it goes, and I think those are a 12 millimeter. 12 and 13 both. 13 millimeter. All right, there we've got the front bumper back on. And where did my, up there. So now, goes this way. Now we gotta get this thing reinstalled in here. I'm gonna do this side first because it's straight. This side's a little bent from the accident, so I can put this on, then grab the vice grips and drill my holes from over there. So I'm gonna mark out on my frame rail where I need to drill my holes. And I can find the marker. And on the oil cooler, it's got, you can take the bracket off there. Set it in place. This one's a little out of wonk here. so we are ready to mount the oil cooler. So we're going to take back out the back bolts. Thought about this before, but I didn't. I was just in the moment of getting everything kind of mocked up here. Okay, so the oil cooler is back in, and I'm glad I marked my lines that went where. I got the correct ones. In case you don't mark yours, the one that's on the passenger side of the oil cooler goes on the rear. Boy, that seems loose. I don't know if that ties up or not. The one that's on the driver's side, so this front one here, it goes on the front. So left side bottom goes to front, right side top goes to the rear. All right, and then of course your out of your right tube, that one goes down to the front lower part of the motor. Left side of the tube comes up and splits into your heads. Okay, some things to note that I'm not for sure if I covered quite exactly right or not. Your 12-inch bars on your front right, your swedge tube and your heim goes below your steering arm there, and it goes on top of your steering box. So it goes top to below on that one, on both sides, on your 11-inch bar and your 12-inch bar. So I don't know if I quite covered that well enough when we were putting those back in together, but I'm gonna call this a stopping point for today. I've got to get some mowing done, but she is starting to look like a car again. We got to bend this thing back down. That bent straight up, but that ain't gonna be no big issue. But we got the seat in, we got the entire front end put back together, and she is ready for fluids. Put some oil in the engine, get some gas to her, and she should be ready to fire. So that'll do it for this one. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one, where we hopefully get this wrapped up.